What is up, everybody? Welcome to the second episode of the Panthers Nation podcast. And guys, we are starting here on another heartbreaker. This one wasn't as, wasn't as upsetting to me as the Falcons loss because we knew what this was going into it. But what were y'all's reactions right off the gate? Because I know about me. I mean, you can hear it in my voice. I was screaming the whole game. So I want to know what y'all's reactions were, at least right at the end of the game.
Because of the great start, like we said, and going into this game, we didn't really, think we had a fair chance at winning like the Falcons game. But, as we go into that game, we're really dominating the first half, then you're in the point where, all right, I'm expecting them to win now, kind of like that Raiders game week 1 where we weren't too optimistic going in. But after some good plays, start the game, it's like, well, we're in this thing. They played hard, which was big for me, seeing them play hard against a good team, really, you could tell they really, really wanted to win. And that was important. But it just fell short, mainly due to just talent gap between us and the Chiefs. But I like how hard we fought against, the best team in the league.
They say there's no such thing as moral victories. But this was about as close as you could get. I think that, 33-31, you put up 31 points against that defense in Arrowhead. You played what is almost, and I know there were a couple quirks here and there and stuff, but you almost played the perfect game. And that's what you got to do to beat Kansas City. And listen, Kansas City is not the Kansas City they used to be. At least I don't think so right now. They got some issues on that defensive side of the ball. You wouldn't think. But, hey, you win and you put up 31 points. And, Jack, you may be getting into a little more. I'm a little concerned about how I saw McCaffrey at the end of the game. I don't know what was going on there, ribs or something. But overall, listen, Matt Rule, people are going to talk about the Carolina Panthers. Here on the Charlotte radio stations, they were like, listen, if we hang within 10 or 20, it's good to go. You were 2 points. 2 points.
No, it was definitely, and I think Tyler, you hit the nail on the head. Like, I mean, you got to come correct when you're playing the Chiefs. I don't care if they're have their issues. You have to go. You have to go 100%, and you have to have everything playing right. And I'll give it to them. They played like the hardest I've ever seen. The offense played out of their minds for most of the game, other than one or two punts the whole game. And the defense on the other side. I mean, for the defense the Chiefs made adjustments. I'll give them that. The Chiefs made adjustments throughout the game, but especially at the beginning. Because we'll talk a little bit about this pressure that we put on the Chiefs there in those first couple of drives. I mean, they were getting to Mahomes. Mahomes was making some he was airing out some balls and some passes that he probably could have been able to connect on. And it's just so I don't know if that was having Yatur back. I don't know if that was just the culmination of that all. But I mean, talk a little bit about how the defense played at least towards the beginning of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that rotation amongst the defensive line that we have, that we've always talked about how, outside of Derek Brown and, of course, Brian Burns, we don't really have a complete, other two guys on that line. It's more of a rotation and getting guys in and out. But that rotation really stepped up big today. That Chiefs do have a couple offensive linemen out. But for us to be able to get guys in and out, Marquise Haynes, Stephen Weatherly, Yator back, it keeps us fresh and we can get after the passer. And, against Mahomes, I don't think you can blitz every play. You can't play in coverage every play. You got to change it up. So giving them a bunch of different looks and being able to get pressure with fresh guys, that was huge for us. And it's something we needed to do without Jeremy Chin today. That's a big loss in the secondary, not only in coverage, but also as a blitzer. So I feel like, we saw Bravion Roy even early in the game make a stop. So just that big rotation was what was huge for us and making up for the Chin loss.
I know Jeff will talk about pressure. Jeff will talk about pressure all day long, so I know you were probably happy to see them go on the attack.
Listen, Phil Snow called a great game, I thought. And I thought early on, bringing on the pressure that they brought on and stuff like that, like, Tyler said, some of the rotations. Listen, at some point, Patrick Mahomes is going to be bigger than what he thinks he is. And we put pressure on him today. We caused a little bit. Does that make sense? We caused him to make some decisions, and he's going to make some good throws, and he's going to make some bad throws. But they got after him, and I think early on, I think it was a wake-up call. They were like, listen, this is not the Carolina Panthers team we thought we were going to get. Let's buckle down and stuff. But right at the very beginning, I mean, to get up 14-3, bring the pressure you brought, change some things up, it was the perfect beginning in what they had to have.
The beginning, no, it definitely went really well. And I will say to have this defense play the way they did without Jeremy Chin for the most of the game, I mean, that showed me that you at least have you have the ability to try to do so without one of your arguably better players on defense.
And let's go back. And you may have, Jack, I'm going to jump ahead. I'm sorry. You may have talked about the last minute of the game or whatever, last 2 minutes. Listen, that last defensive stand, I mean, Brian Burns to have a play when you needed it, you give Patrick Mahomes the ball back. The only thing they got to do is get a first down, and you get them 3 and out, and they got to punt the ball back. I mean, give that. I mean, we've talked about how young that defensive is and stuff like that. They are getting more confident day in and day out, and having I forgot his name. Sorry, Matos.
Yeturgos Matos. Yeah,
getting him back and stuff like that. I mean, hey, kudos. Listen, I mean, this team's heading in the right direction.
I definitely think so. And and obviously we knew going into this that Jeremy Chin was probably going to be putting up, we were hoping, because in terms of athleticism and physicality, Jeremy Chin was the only one who could even come close to going up against Travis Kelce, if not maybe Brian Burns, but you're not going to put him back there. So obviously Kelce had a huge day. I mean, he was lighting it up yardage-wise. And so do y'all think that slows down a little bit if Chin's in there on him? Or do you think, Kelce's just still doing what Kelce's going to do?
Yeah, I think definitely Chin. He's been great for us this season, so having him in there wouldn't hurt. That's for sure. Not only in the passing game, because he'd be able to take Kelce away, not take him away completely, but help on him, like you kind of talked about. And I noticed today some of those duties kind of fell onto Shaq Thompson. I saw him; he was matched up on Kelce a couple times here and there, and I feel like Chin is better. He's better matchup against tight ends. Shaq's more your in the box type linebacker, but not only in coverage, but Chin has a blitzer too. Getting pressure on Mahomes, like we talked about. He's a do it all player, like we've seen. So, talking about Chin, but someone we saw step up today was Sam Franklin. Safety that we've kind of been skeptical about and unsure why he's in there, but he was physical. He's not he's by no means like a future starter for the future of our secondary by any means, but he did his job. He's physical, and he had a couple key plays, so I was happy to see that.
I will say also Jermaine Carter Jr. He stepped up in a pretty big way today too. Not even in terms of making big plays, but just he was all over the field, and that's what you want from a linebacker. Really, you want them to have that presence all over that middle of the field. I don't know why, for the life of us, we still cannot cover those outside zones when you get like past the hashes, lower about 5 to 10 yards, because they were just lighting us up there, and I don't know why. Any little wheel route or every time something happens, it's around that area. That's definitely something we need to fix, because that was just eating us alive. And then obviously the other elephant in the room was our pass coverage. I mean, there were some horrible plays where Tyreek Hill was wide open, or Mecole Hardman was wide open. So Jeff, talk a little bit about, Rasul Douglas came back off of the COVID list. I mean, he didn't look great. He didn't look like he was full tilt. So I don't know if that week off really plays that much of an impact.
I mean, it does. That's just, welcome back. You have a week off. You're going against the world champions with that team, with the Tyreek Hill, with Travis Kelce, with Patrick Mahomes. You're only going to hold them down, but for so long. Yeah. And a lot of their bread and butter, Jack, I know you talked about those outside zones. A lot of their bread and butter has become those 5 to 10 yard passes, which it's kind of weird when you think about Patrick Mahomes and stuff like that. You're only going to keep them down. But a lot of these guys, and you've noticed it more and more across the NFL, the guys who've been on the COVID list, who've been out for a week and a half, or can't even be in the building, or can't get anything done like that, that's big. So, and you're going to get, like I said, that young defense going against the world champions. Obviously, I think for Rasul Douglas, it was great to have him back. You got to give him another week to kind of get in to get meshed and get back into it.
Yeah, and on the other side of the field, Dante's got weeks. He's got weeks, and he's got months of the season where he needs to turn it around. I understand it was the Chiefs, but he played. He was, from the plays I saw, he was playing abysmal today. From the things where he was highlighted, and I understand they were trying to attack him because that's the mismatch with Tyreek Hill. But on the one Tyreek Hill touchdown, he was wide open. There was one play where Dante, I guess, thought he was going to get an OPI, and he didn't get it. He got defensive holding on himself, and he just kind of killed the play. He had a couple key penalties. That offsides that he had later in the game, he wasn't even rushing. He was faking a blitz to go back into coverage, and he jumps off sides. He did not have a good game today. I don't know if you agree with me or not, Tyler, or not, but he did not have a good game today at all.
Yeah, aside from the passing yards and completions and touchdowns that got on us, there was a lot of missed opportunities that the Chiefs just didn't connect on, where we completely messed up, left guys open all over the secondary. There was issues, mental mistakes, lack just a lack of talent everywhere. And Dante Jackson still just not stepping up, and it's really making me question. I don't know if he has a future here with the Panthers, unless he stepped it up in these next few weeks, like we've been talking about. But aside from him, Brazil struggled because a week off. That's really I don't think that's talked about enough how much that matters, especially in the NFL when things are so tight and teams are so close. Really, like college football, there's a bigger gap between teams, but in the NFL, it's all so tight and close. So every advantage you can get, it's going to be important, and that was a disadvantage we had from Azul's point of view. Something I will say is, against the Chiefs, you got to stop the run first. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, they have the big flashy passing game that everyone likes to talk about, but you don't have a chance against them if you can't stop the run first, where you can get after Mahomes. So I was proud of how they did against the run today, and they really slowed that down from that aspect.
I see, Jeff, your favorite player in the world didn't really make any splash today.
Who's that?
Le'Veon Bell.
Oh, yeah. What? Does he still play?
He's on the Chiefs.
I know. I'm just being sorry.
He had like a couple of carries against us.
Him and AB will be grasping for headlines. Yeah, no, and I mean, back to what Tyler said, Dante, there's a difference between, and I didn't think he looked good today. There is a difference between, like, just maybe being a little out of place, or you just make a wrong head turn or wrong shoulder or something like that. Yet, no, you can't, in this NFL, there is a fraction of an inch between winning and losing. I don't care who you are, where you're at. I mean, this is the best of the best. So he's got to step it up. And yeah, I turned it around for a couple of minutes. Did Le'Veon even touch a ball? I have no idea.
I think he had like one run, I think, but it didn't really. I mean, no, but Tyler's right. Like we did a good job of that, and I think having Etur back helps. And I think that in the span of things, I mean, the defense did about as good of a job as it could do. I think in the middle of the game they started to make adjustments. I mean, when you're making the Chiefs kick, when you're making them kick field goals, that's a win in my mind, especially for the Panthers. And so, and of course, this thing of seeing Harrison Butker make some plays, that could be us now, but that hurts a little bit. But none of this is on Joey Slye. None of this game is on Joey Slye. Not the onside kick, not the missed kick. The one missed field goal, I mean, he shanked it, that first one, not the second one. But even then, it didn't really seem to matter. I mean, we might have been, I guess he makes the kicks, we're winning a point. But I mean, if ifs and buts were, if we could live off of that, then that'd be fine. It's just not what you do, though. So I don't want – but I know Slye is going to be he's going to be kicking himself so hard for this game. He's going to feel like he let the team down so much, and that's just tough. Because, as a kicker, Jeff, Well,
you're not going to blame it on one person, obviously. And obviously, I didn't agree with the onside call.
Yeah, it's a little early. It was a little early. Of course, it's one of those calls, you get it, fine, you don't, Listen, kicking is now become an adventure in the NFL. Let's just be real. It has become an adventure in the NFL. And I don't care who they are and how good your guy is. And I wish we would have seen it at the end. What was it, 67 yards? Because he was wide right, I guess. I still want to know, I think he had the distance. Oh, he had the distance. He 100% had the distance. It's just with the wind, because the wind wasn't going forward, backward. Right. It was going side to side, and you saw it all game. When on his first shanked one, it looked like it was going good, or he aimed it up. He set himself up where he needed to be. He aimed it to make sure it was going to go that way, and the wind just took it too far that way, and he still just hit the upright. It didn't even miss. So that one, yeah, laces were out. I don't know. The snap was good. The hold was good. It had the distance. I think at that point you're just fighting against nature, and we can talk about it now. I was going to talk about it later. I mean, like I said, when you play against the Chiefs, to be fair, I'll preface this, and I'll ask y'all about it. The defensive drive to set up the field goal and the offensive drive beforehand to get within 3 points were two of the best sequences of football I've seen the Panthers play in the longest time. because you had you had the super long catch to Curtis Samuel, who dove out to get it. You had Teddy literally putting his entire body on the line, diving 5 yards to get a first down on 4th and 14. Then you had the dime to Christian McCaffrey that he laid out for, and then you had Teddy just walking it in. I mean, that offensive series was poetry in motion. And so, I mean, that was – but so I wish, though, the drive for the field goal, that – I mean, that was not the smartest football we could have played.
Well, let me jump in. And you know what I'm going to say, because we talked about it on the phone there. It's one play. Yeah. Mike Davis, get out of bounds.
Yeah.
Mike Davis, he turned in. If he could have turned out, he had another 5 to 7 yards, I think.
Yeah.
And all he's got to do is get out of bounds. And I counted. I went back and watched. There was like 18 seconds that they lost in between that and getting up to, and then they got to run another play. They couldn't spike it. So they had to run another play. So you lost 3 plays.
Yeah.
Get to the end of the game, and daggone it, if Teddy almost didn't make that throw for another 2 or 3 yards.
Yeah.
I didn't know why they were throwing. I'm like, they're not going to.
Yeah. I was scared.
But I mean, Curtis Samuel might have played. Teddy threw the ball when he had to. I'm putting that on Mike Davis. Going, listen, you got to get out of bounds.
Well, I'm not putting it on Mike Davis at all. I think for the one thing he did have the space to the outside, and Tyler can talk about it, but that's hard to get out there from where he was in the field. That's hard to get from where he was. I'm also putting it, the Panthers, we did a lot to ourselves to lose this game in terms of stupid mistakes, stupid penalties, the offensive holding that you had, or illegal hands to the face, or whatever we had on that second down. We drove 20 yards down the field and basically put ourselves right back where we started almost with that penalty. So, Tyler, talk a little bit, about how just aggravating that can be when you can't do that. You're trying to win the game. You cannot make those mistakes.
Yeah, I thought we played overall a pretty good game compared to, they had all their fair share of penalties too, but against the Chiefs, you got to profit off of their mistakes, and every little chance, like we're talking about, every little inch you can get against, especially a team as good as the Chiefs, where they can score at any point. You have especially at, the Panthers, we're up and coming team. We're not fully in place yet in our own. So every little, opportunity we can get, we have to capitalize off it. And we didn't really. We left some yards, some points on the table, which, you can't do that against a team as good as the Chiefs.
You're right. And you said like that, you have to leave everything on the field. You have to leave everything on the field. And it seemed like our skill players were leaving everything on the field. I think we can still call him the Cat Pack, right? Robbie coming in, doesn't change the name. They laid it all. I mean, Teddy literally laid it all out on the field. And you already saw the immediate impact having McCaffrey in had. Now, and I think that's what kind of hurt us on that last drive, because I don't know what happened to McCaffrey. If it was either, I don't know if he landed on his shoulder on that catch funny, or if it was something in the ribs if he got banged up. But, I mean, to have the final drive against the Chiefs and he's not in for every play like that, because McCaffrey, I'll give you this, Dad. McCaffrey can make it out from the middle of the field. If he catches the pass that Davis catches, he's getting out there, no questions asked. Davis, he takes a bit more to get going. He takes a little bit more time to push off the jump. And I think that's what, it's what hurt him a little bit. So that's going to be that'll be a much bigger blow than the loss, because we were looking at the 3-6 anyway. Wish the Broncos could have pulled out another come from behind win to shut up the Falcons. But because now they got, are they 2 wins, 3 wins now? Are we tied with them for last? Someone do that. Someone do that.
They won the last 2. Right?
We were the last one. So I don't know if they had a win before they got to us. Remember, because we just played them on Thursday night.
So, so technically now we'll be in last and they'll be in third.
Oh, that's hurtful. Yep. That's hurtful. That pains me. But just, like I said, and I don't know what is going on with, if it's Brady and Teddy, or if it's Teddy and the O-line, or if it's I couldn't even count on my hands the amount of times the play clock went down to 5 seconds. When you waste 2 timeouts within the first 10 minutes of the game, that's atrocious. And we've been doing that week in and week out. I don't know what the communication issues are. To be fair, they did a lot better in the second half. They didn't have as many of them, but there were still plays, that we had 2 seconds and Teddy's screaming. And a stadium, in normal Arrowhead Stadium, I'm okay with that. That makes sense. This is Arrowhead Stadium at half capacity, if that. So there should have been no sound issues. There should have been and especially in some of these other plays, like when we had to take the timeout on 3rd and 1, I know what we're doing. Tyler, you know what we're doing. Jeff, you know what we're doing. Everyone and their grandmother knows what play we're calling. It's giving it to McCaffrey. So where's the confusion? Where's the confusion coming from? Everyone knows what the play is. So something that's got to change. That has to change.
Let me talk real quick, and I'm just going to go on experience and stuff like that. I mean, it's you're what are we 8 games in?
I know, but it's just
but still, it's 8 games in. It's a new system. And I agree. You have however many seconds get the playoff. But you still got the Tom Brady's and the Drew Brees and everybody walking up taking timeouts with 5 seconds, 3 seconds to go. I mean, you see it a lot. And I'll cut him a little slack. Maybe Joe Brady needs to make up his mind, but like you said, we knew what we were going to run.
Yeah, like everybody knows.
It's like Derrick Henry. It's 3rd and 1. You're giving the ball to Derrick Henry.
Yeah. Tyler, I'll come back to you in a sec. But like Jeff, just speaking from experience as well, you saw it last year when Tannehill came in halfway through. Did they have chemistry issues like that off the jump?
No.
Because I know they did. I know they didn't. So I understand that this Teddy's an experienced quarterback. I understand
could be your offensive coordinator, but Arthur Smith was a first-year coordinator.
Exactly. Yeah. But no, so I mean, it's not an uncommon thing. And when you have an offense that is volatile as we are, you do not need to be wasting timeouts by screwing things up like that. So I mean, because that's aggravating, is it not, Tyler?
Yeah, no, it definitely is, and it's kind of hard to find where to put the blame because you don't really know, and you don't want to blame anybody. But I understand that in the beginning of the game, it was clear that we wanted to milk this clock down, a lot of plays, chew it down, and so part of that was not snapping it right away and kind of milking it down. I'm not sure if maybe we're trying to let this play clock go down a little bit, and we have some issue with the play, and now we can't snap it because we don't know what's going on. That might have to be something with it. Another factor is Joe Brady. He was on the sidelines today for the first time in his career. He's usually in the box. I'm not sure. I don't want to blame it on that, but it's another factor that could relate to the issue we saw with the play clock today.
I mean, there's one thing of trying to control the time. I understand that if you're going against the Chiefs, you want to try to keep the time of possession on your side. But it's another thing when you're sub 10 seconds and Mike Davis has no idea where he's supposed to be on the field, and you're having Teddy screaming at the lineman. I mean, at one point, I think Taylor Moton popped up and turned around and looked back at Teddy. I'm like, we have 10 seconds left. What are you turning around? Like, what are you doing? So that was something that I saw throughout the whole game that really concerned me, especially like when you're going, because again, I know the Chiefs aren't as big as they were, but when you go up against the defending Super Bowl champions and of the fashion like the Chiefs, you have to come 100%. You got to be damn near perfect. You have to, and the Panthers were, like I said, the Panthers were damn near perfect today.
Let's be real. I mean, and I know what you're saying, but I mean, at the end of the day, they were pretty close to damn near perfect. I mean,
they really were.
You had a minute and a half with the ball in your hand. How many times does that come up this year with the Panthers? Now, what they do need to do is in their last 10 games where I think they've been decided by 4 or less. I think I saw some stat. Now they're 2-9.
Yeah. At
some point, you got to win those ball games. I think you got to get beyond. You got to take that next step to get beyond those 2 and 3 point losses.
Well, I think in those final minutes of the game, that's where the true talent of your team shows up, and that's where your true talent I'm not going to put it on the Panthers for the last every game that we've had this season without Christian McCaffrey, because I think Christian McCaffrey honestly make or breaks those 2-minute drills. He has the X factor to get you down the field like that. What I will say is Teddy impressed me this time, because the reason why we had the ball 4 or 5 times in the last few weeks and lost is because Teddy, like I kept saying, was trying to make those plays. And of course, there's a difference between trying to make the play and trying to be a hero. He was trying to be the hero. He was forcing things, and that's where you see the turnovers like we had against the Bears, against the Falcons, and against just certain plays like that. Here, he was a lot smarter with the ball. He was a lot more efficient with the ball. And, at least getting it out of his hands. And then once he gets into that person, I mean, even that DJ Moore pass at the end of the game, it was a smart play. He wasn't trying to, because I thought he was trying to bomb it downfield. Same with I think it was either Curtis Samuel or Robbie Anderson, that really long pass in the last drive.
Where he was in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
20 yards. Yeah. I think it was Curtis Samuel.
Where he put it. I mean, that was a great ball. I mean, Teddy was throwing more accurately and deeper this game than I'd ever seen. And he was putting good passes. So I think Teddy's got a lot better. In my mind, I mean, every day next week, every day for practice the rest of the season, I'm running 2-minute drills every day. I'm running 2-minute, literally, I'm running 2-minute drills every day because you seem to obviously continue. You're going to be in this situation again. There's no doubt in my mind. The rest of the season, for most of these matchups, you have the chance to be in that spot. And I'm doing it on both sides too. Like I said, the defense did a really good job. Brian Burns, he showed he's an X factor level player. He is a top tier talent today with that play.
He blew that play up.
And it wasn't just, you had Marquise Haynes stopping Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who almost broke through. He's slippery enough to get out of that first level. But he said, no, come back here. He stopped him on that first down. They did a really good job because the Chiefs are that scary backyard football kind of team where they'll just run around you until they get that first down. And on that drive, the team made sure they really stopped it. So I think the defense just had a lot that it was going right. So I think that you saw today because the O-line did we saw the true O-line for a little while coming in. Teddy was having – and that was what really impressed me about Teddy is he was still being accurate. He had guys literally on his legs as he was throwing some of these passes. The offensive line gave Teddy just no help today, no help whatsoever. And I kept waiting for McCaffrey to try to break one of those big runs, but he kept getting bottlenecked in the first level and having to work to get to the first. And it is also concerning because now every time he touches the ball, every time he gets hit, I start to wince. I wince, and I don't like wincing, but he was doing some big man plays. He was brushing people off his shoulders. He was fighting for the first downs. But talk about the O-line because that was atrocious to me today for the most part.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's week 8, and we don't really have that continuity built up between 5 normal linemen. It changes all the time with injuries and guys just not being up to par. Different guys playing different positions. Yeah, and it did not help us today. Thankfully Teddy was a hero and Teddy played with so much heart today and he played so hard and really gave us the best chance to win despite the offensive line. And, with Teddy, a guy that has had his injury issues in the past, Christian McCaffrey now with this injury in the season, we can't afford for any injuries, especially at this point. We saw against the Falcons when Teddy went down, thanks to the offensive line, we have nothing behind him. It's Teddy or nothing. So we have guys that are, have had history with injury, especially Teddy being paid, McCaffrey the highest paid back. We can't mess around with that. So going into the offseason, that's going to be something we got to look at. But talking more about McCaffrey, you can tell that he's still not 100%, maybe 80, 90%, and they still want to use Mike Davis, and deservedly so. He's earned a role here in one way or another, but McCaffrey's McCaffrey. And looking at that last drive, you kind of wonder what's up with him. It's not a talent thing by any means, but while he wasn't in, but you just want to keep him healthy. And, if we can get a healthy McCaffrey and a healthy Mike Davis with all those weapons, that's just going to add to our offense and kind of make up for the issues we have on the offensive line.
I'll say first off, we can come back to it later. I will say if Teddy goes down, I'm not putting in PJ and I'm not putting in Will Grier. I'm putting in Joseph Charlton because that boy can throw. That boy had a dime for that fake punt. I had no idea. So if Teddy goes down, that's who I'm putting in next because he could be on it. He's listed on the roster. But what I will say about McCaffrey, and I think this is where I actually do agree with Rule. I was upset at the time, but looking on it, where you talked about highest paid back, he's your offense really. In this scenario, you want to say you're trying to play to win every game because there's no reason McCaffrey shouldn't be on the field for that drive. But looking at the long term, and that's what Rule was doing, and that's what Tepper was doing, and that's what the game itself is this specific game against the Chiefs. Winning that game is not worth jeopardizing. If he's not 100% and you think something might be up with him, it's not worth jeopardizing McCaffrey to the point where he gets injured for multiple weeks again just to win this game. I know that's hard to hear as a fan, but you got to think of it as a GM. You got to go, look, he's your best guy. We just gave him this much money. If we could try to, we'll put him in for the final play or two, but if we can win this game without him, we still need to try to, because it's just not gonna pan out. If it's going to be a real issue if he gets seriously hurt, especially in this season, because I know we say you try to play every year to go to the playoffs. As the weeks go by, as the NFC looks the way it does, that as the Vikings take an uptick the way they have, that is starting to go away in my mind. So Jeff, you might disagree. That's my 2 cents.
Well, no, and I'm sorry. I was looking at my phone. Actually, they're saying that is a rib injury, and the severity is unknown at this time, but they will evaluate it tomorrow. He was hurt on the play where he dove with the ball,
and that's what I thought. Honestly, I was looking at it,
but the ball wasn't there. So I mean, the ball was out wide. Normally they fall on the ball, but the ball was outstretched. So he landed on a rib. They said it's unknown severity. They'll do some testing and see what's up. You got to protect him. I mean, listen, he was the leading receiver today.
Was he really? Was he really?
I want to say he was. I'm going to look at it again, but I think I just saw something that said he was the leading receiver for the day in terms of
receptions or yardage.
Huh?
Receptions or yardage.
In terms of either way, if he's your leading receiver, like you got to do a little bit in terms of protecting him, but you got to protect him. I mean, listen, he is your bread and butter, and you don't protect him, it's going to be trouble. So I think there's got to be this point of and he had 17 carries, I think.
Yeah, that was interesting to me.
I thought he would have had a few more. To be honest,
40. I think Teddy threw 40, 45 times, which was a lot.
Teddy threw 49 times,
which is insane. Your first week with McCaffrey back.
No, Christian McCaffrey actually had the most receptions, 10.
Okay,
but Curtis Samuel had more yardage by 13.
That makes more sense.
So, but 27 catches. I mean, 27 touches. That's a lot, but I thought he would have carried a little bit more. And
I think Tyler's right. You saw it, like his spring and his step isn't quite there yet.
Take time. I mean, let's be, and it's got to be. And listen. At the end of the day, you're still talking about that defense.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know that I don't know there was a play, but one of the Chief guys got hurt. Taco Charlton.
Yeah.
He broke his leg
on that play.
Yeah, where he limped off. They got to the sideline, they took him in, and he just came across that he fractured his leg and is done for the season.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. So one a compound fracture, but he fractured his leg and he is done for. There's a lot of injuries coming through now, which are kind of surprising.
Yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger in with a knee injury and a head injury. So he is now he is being looked at. So that's just what I'm saying. You got a guy just coming off.
Yeah.
Protect.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I wasn't as upset after the fact about not having him in the whole drive.
But he's a competitor.
Yeah.
So Matt Rule's got to go, listen, dude, you are my future. I'm going to protect you. You may not like it.
Yeah.
But we got to protect you. And that's the way it's got to go.
Yeah, he didn't seem to be the happiest guy on the sideline. Even before the game was over, he looked upset. Yeah.
He knew that he wasn't able to be there because that's killing him inside. He wants to be able to be there to make those plays, and not being able to. I mean, that's the worst thing in the world for guys like that, where all they want to do is make those plays, and when their body's not allowing them to. I mean, what do you do there? Like what do you do?
And coming off the IR, I mean,
yeah, and to think you're going to go right back to it, like
right,
which is what is done it is mine now. So then. I think Brady has continued to use Curtis Samuel to the best of his ability. I'm loving the play calls I'm seeing. That hook and ladder was a bit unnecessary. I don't know. It was a lot for like 3 yards. I think it even might have. I think it gained yards. I don't remember. I like that idea. But I also wanted to know what y'all's opinions were on how they split Davis and McCaffrey and how they used the two of them. What did you see? What did you think from what you saw?
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I thought it would be a little bit more towards Davis, just a little bit. But I would say it was. It was even. Getting McCaffrey out of there for plays where he doesn't really need to be in there. Some of the blocking plays, stuff like that, where utilize McCaffrey to the best of his ability and do what he can, and kind of take those unnecessary hits off him because we know he's not back. And even if he is, you want to ease a guy into it. And while Mike Davis over here, he's no McCaffrey, but he certainly earned a role on this team. So just mixing it up, is good for the offense and good for both of them, really.
You got to mix it up more other than 18-1.
Yeah, that's tough.
Mike Davis had 1 carry.
Yeah, that's tough.
So in the realm of things, I know he's better for the blocking and stuff like that, but for those small, and I get it. 3rd and 1, are you giving it to McCaffrey, or are you getting Mike Davis in there and bulldozing for that yard? I mean, I think as Brady comes along with calling plays and stuff like that, I think maybe he'll start to manage the game better in terms of, okay, I got 3rd and 2. I'll put both of them in, or maybe I'm giving McCaffrey a break and I'm going to get these 2 yards because Davis will get you. We've seen what he's done while McCaffrey was gone.
Yeah,
he got the fewest amount of carries today.
Yeah,
Bridgewater had 3, I think, and Curtis Samuel had 2.
Yeah, wow. I will say that's what I kind of thought too. But Davis is an immaculate blocker. It's times where I'm thinking, honestly, with how bad this line is, you put Davis and McCaffrey in there. You take out either a tight end or you take out a wide receiver just so that Davis can block. I mean, that lead block he had on Curtis Samuel's touchdown, insane. Gave him the touchdown basically, and he's going up against a linebacker doing that. Like come on. And I think it's the role he'll continue to have on this. And I will say Brady's continued to do well, Brady and Bridgewater have continued to do well to disperse the ball, to spread the love. I think every receiver, even Brandon Sylvester or whatever his name is, he got that super long punt, fake punt, which 2 fake punts in 2 weeks. I mean, never in my life would I thought that would happen, but I love it. I love it.
But now you got teams thinking. You got teams thinking.
Especially because that's not something you're going to run in film or in practice. You're not. I mean, now it is because the Panthers have 2 of them in 2 weeks, so people are going to be watching on film. But before that, I mean, there's no film on that. There's no film on that play. You can't it would just caught him off guard. And so and damn it all, Brandon, if he had ran right instead of running right into the blocker and defender, he probably could have had a touchdown. But I'm not. He's probably too busy trying to remember how to pronounce his own last name to think about where he's got to go on the field. So I won't put that one past him. I will say the one thing that has been working about Teddy, I think it's what Teddy's best at for what works best for us. It's sad that he has to do it, but he is so incredibly level-headed in the pocket. I've never seen and even with the blitzes coming all around him, on that first, I know that Christian McCaffrey play, it was the first touchdown. It was designed to let him slip through, but he still had people coming at him untouched, and he was still able to make that throw to McCaffrey for the touchdown. He was doing that all night. So, I mean, that's something that I've really loved from Teddy that I've seen. Other things we can talk about that I was thinking of. I mean, like I said, the Chiefs, I mean, Tyreek Hill for the most part up until the end of the game was contained. I mean, the DBs still have to. It sounds like a broken record. It's the DBs and the O-line every week. That's what's making or breaking these games. I mean, that's at least what I see. I don't know about y'all.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, definitely. Those are our 2 weaknesses. Those are the 2 biggest questions we had. Going back to the draft was, where's our lineman? Where's our corner? And Rasul Douglas has stepped up, but against Tyreek Hill and the Chiefs, no matter who we had out there, it was going to be a tough time. But going back to what you were saying earlier about Teddy, he was able to be poised in the pocket and comfortable despite, a lot of rush, a lot of pressure on him. That's because, I think Joe Brady did a great job today at keeping the offense on schedule. We were in manageable situations, so that helped a lot. And, once Teddy gets in a rhythm like that 15-play drive that ended with that McCaffrey touchdown to start the game, he's just going to be better off. He's going to be better on play 15 than he was on play 1 just because, the confidence and rhythm that is getting built up in the offense. So going back to the offensive line thing, that's kind of one way to mask it or hide it a little bit, the issues that we have there.
Yeah, and think about it this way too. I mean, the OL and the DB, I get it, and the offensive line, but I'm just gonna be the glass half full kind of guy. You still put up 31.
Oh yeah,
and you've been in every single game. I mean, and it's a broken record. That offensive line is fixed. That broken record may not be a broken record as much.
Yeah.
And listen, the DBs. It was Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. I'm still going to. I know. And it was 33 points. So at the end of the day, that last half full. Listen, the offensive line, you got to be better. But Teddy is starting to, and I think Teddy's starting to realize this is the way I got to play. Yeah. And he's starting to realize this, and he's got to realize this is the way I got to play. I'm going to play it. But if me, and I'm drafting, and I'm Matt Rule, and I'm everybody working on that next. I'm getting some OLs.
I'm getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Do all 7.
I'm okay with it. If you want to, if you did it one side, now do the other. I'm really
right.
I will say that for Teddy too, the one biggest thing, no turnovers.
Right.
No turnovers against the Chiefs. That's a hell of a stat line right there. That I was very proud of Teddy because, like I said, that was a concern of mine was that he was forcing these plays downfield. They showed it. They showed it and I knew they were going to. When it came down to that last drive, they showed all the other 2-minute drills that the Panthers have had this season that all ended in despair for us. So now looking forward to season. I mean, we're 3-6. We have a more accurate description of what our team is going to look like what is y'all's outlook on? I mean, best we can be now is 10-6. What is y'all's outlook on the rest of the season? What are your thoughts?
I'll just go game by game. Really, it was impressive today to see Matt Rule. He got those guys to play hard. They believed in him. They believed in what they were doing, and they played hard against one of the best teams in the NFL, despite just having a losing game to the Falcons and not having the best second part of their season. They came out inspired. They came out like they wanted to win. They looked alive. So going week by week is all we have to do. We're going to face other tough teams. I think we got the Bucs next week. So it's going to continue to be tough, but we just got to keep fighting.
I agree. It's week to week. And but here's the half full kind of guy again. Like, every game's winnable. I mean, is 10-6 crazy? No, it's not. I mean, I don't think it'll happen because you still have the Bucs. But listen, we'll find out how good the Bucs are tonight when we'll watch that game tonight and find out how AB does and stuff like that. But I mean, when you're talking the Lions, the Vikings, the Broncos, the football team from Washington, you've got 4 or 5 games that you could seriously, you might be favored in.
Yeah.
And so is 8-8 out of the grasp? No, but I think that, as Tyler said, game by game. And I don't think Panther fans or Matt Rule is sitting there going, we're 3-6 and feeling degected.
No. I mean, there was no expectations for this team anyway. So, I mean, anything that he does, and if he gets 500 or better, that's getting him a contract extension almost immediately, because that's just no one was thinking of that the way this season had began or how the offseason was going to. So, no, not at all. It's interesting to see now. The NFC, the NFC starting to take a turn, and I don't know if playoffs are in the horizon realistically anymore. And I don't like saying that, but also at a certain point,
East, it would be.
If we were in the NFC East, we'd be sitting pretty, and it'd be beautiful. But then also, that's the thing with the playoffs. I mean, as you don't want to say you never want to make the playoffs, but you don't just want to make the playoffs to say you made the playoffs, because if we made the playoffs and don't have, I'm not saying you never there's always a chance, obviously, any given Sunday. But in terms, if you really look at some of the things, if you're just getting the NFC Championship every year, if you're just getting to the divisional round every year, does it really? Obviously, it's better than those teams that are sub 500. But at a certain point,
But listen, you're as of right now, there are 9 out of the 16 teams in the NFC all have losing records.
Oh my goodness!
9 out of 16.
Ridiculous.
And I think the NFC West is going to they could get all 4 in, although not the 49ers. 49ers are done.
Yeah, the poor 49ers. I feel so bad for them.
I do. But what I'm saying though is, I think you have to
also stop up, Jeff. Real quick. I think either the Bills came back this week or the Seahawks. Not looking great. They got to get their stuff together. So I don't even know if they clinch up a 3rd spot. It's Russell Wilson, so I'm not going to count him out because they always make that weird last November, December push. But they did not look too bright today. Not
when Josh Allen has looked as bad as he's had. The last 4 games he's thrown 4 touchdowns and 4 interceptions.
Yeah.
And I think today he threw either 3 or 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And the Seahawks had 3 or 4 turnovers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, granted, it was against the AFC versus NFC and stuff like that. But, listen, I'm telling you right now, I don't want to be playing. I'm looking at if I'm a head coach of any other team in the NFL and I see the Carolina Panthers coming to town, I got some concerns.
Definitely.
I do.
Definitely. Yeah. And for me, looking at the stretch of the season, it's not to, like I said, week by week, I still want to win games, still want to make a push for the playoffs, but it has gone to that point where, all right, maybe now I'm starting to root for some of the teams that have bad records. So, if we do happen to lose, we get the higher draft pick, but still absolutely looking for us to win every game.
Well, it'd be so Carolina Panther to finish 8-8 and get right
in the middle,
the 15th, 16th pick.
Yeah.
5 years in the Ron Rivera era where we just 8-8, 7-9.
Can't see that.
Yeah. And not helping yourself out at all because they weren't making any trades for any higher draft picks and just not doing anything to actively get their team better. And it's so now looking ahead, we look to the Tampa Bay Bucs, getting to host them. The game, for the most part, week 2 was close enough. And then you had that last, they had a garbage time touchdown here or there. it's interesting to see talk a little bit about how different the matchup is now and then, Tyler.
Going into that game, both teams were not young, but young with experience. We are actually young, but they've come a long way. Brady has not really taken his foot off the gas, and he's gone a lot better. Remember, looking back at that game, there's a few miscues. There was definitely proof of lack of experience between Brady and some of his receivers that I think, watching them over the last couple of weeks, they've definitely built a rapport there. That's kind of scary. And like Jeff was saying, we'll see him later tonight against the Saints. Big matchup, of course, in our division, but we'll see how now the addition of Antonio Brown fits in now that Chris Godwin's also back healthy, kind of in the mix. Mike Evans, of course, too. We'll see how that offense looks. That defense is fast, it swarms, and we really had an issue with it. So I think they've came a long way. Brady's settled in, and he's been dominant, of course. But the Panthers, looking at us, we came a long way as well. Some of the players on defense back then, that was week 2, Derek Brown, he wasn't really up to par. And now he's turned into one of the better players on our defense and somebody we can really rely on. It is unfortunate that we won't have Kawan Short for this game. He'll be out, unlike last. And hopefully we can fix some of those wounds in the secondary, because we're going to need it, especially now. So we'll have to see. The big thing for me is the Antonio Brown addition and how much that affects things, and if that's going to be something that we really need to worry about.
I'll just simply TB12. I mean, it makes me nauseous. At some point, Mother Nature's, got to catch up. Father Time's got to catch up. But all he's done is become the most efficient passer for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the first half of any season they ever had.
Yeah.
Which
isn't saying much, but still.
But like Tyler said, we've come a long way too. But listen, we were sitting here a week ago going, 41-7, 37-13 against the Chiefs. It's still the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and here's the deal. Phil Snow, whatever pressure you did today, cut Brian Burns loose. I don't blitz him every play. Blitz him every play. But to me, TB12 right now, that's to me the biggest difference is now he's 8 games in or whatever, 9 games, and it's gotten and it's nauseating, it's sickening, but that's the biggest difference right now between now and when they played previous.
Yeah, I think you got 2 big main things here that could decide the game, and that's Christian McCaffrey's health. If he's not in and he's not playing to his up to his snuff, like I said, it's not that I don't trust Davis, because we forget how much Davis was able to produce, but it's just so much different. It's so much different with McCaffrey. And so I need that. And it also depends upon Jeremy Chin, because looking at the weapons that the Bucs have, we don't even have enough viable cornerbacks and defensive backs to match up with everyone that they have. Even if we were going it's like we can't even go man. So Jeremy Chin would play a big role in either working towards taking on Gronkowski per se, or even going towards trying to get because I don't think you put Dante on Mike Evans, but then I also don't think you put him on Antonio Brown. I don't know where I guess Dante you're putting him on Chris Godwin, but I'm not putting we have our cornerbacks are so hard to match up with these top tier receivers. There's almost no scheme. There's almost no scheme that works. So we'll talk about scores. In my mind, I'm saying a 31-28 loss. That's everything's just too much up in the air right now. We still have a lot of things a lot of chinks in the armor to where I'm not seeing a whole lot with the Bucs right now. So but I want to hear what y'all think.
I'll go 28-17. We're gonna lose by a couple scores here. I think the offense will come out and stay in rhythm, but that defense is very opportunistic that we're going against, and they got the pass rush against our offensive line, which is going to be weak. So 28-17. If we want a chance, we have to be efficient on offense and take care of the ball.
I will go with the 2-minute drill finally pays off. And I'm going to say Joey Slye gets the 50-plus yarder, and it's 27-24 for the win on the last play of the game.
I'd love to see that. And I also love that. I mean, I never loved seeing anyone get injured, but it did give me a little bit. It made me a little happy seeing Mike Remmers leave the game. I will have to say that. I'm sorry. I hope he's fine now. I hope he's not injured any longer. But I did enjoy seeing him walk off the game. If that might make me a bad person. I don't know. It's fine. We'll figure it out later. But guys, thank you all so much for the support already and for the following. We've loved to hear y'all talking to us. We've loved to hear you respond to us. And like I said, we've got a couple things with fans in the works. We've announced it. If you want to be featured during one of the podcasts or during a fan podcast that we're going to be doing for the bye week, please DM us. Talk a little bit about yourself and a picture of you either in Panther gear or at a Panthers game. Because like we said, we do this for y'all. We want to be y'all's voice. We want to hear y'all as well. And we hope that you like listening to us. And so until next time, guys, keep pounding.